Yeah, we got it already. Underneath the podium, there's a different water at the bottom.
Oh, right.
Wait, here before we get started. We have to set that one up.
Introduce our next speaker. His name is Mark Young. He is from Sparkville Productions, and he helped bring the 20,000 Leagues film, The Great One We're Celebrating, to the DVD. That is an amazing DVD is out. At this point, I'd like to ask Mark to join us on the stage.
Excuse me. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, bad lunch. Well, thank you for inviting me here, Kim. This was a real treat. Why do I remember 20,000 Leagues? It's because it was the year 1954 that I got married. That's not me. That was Kirk Douglas when I interviewed him for the DVD, for the documentary. We had a good time pulling together all the different... So we'll do the... pulling together all the people for the interviews and all the materials to create what we were hoping to be the definitive record for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. My brother Eric, Spark Hill Productions is his company, and it had been a dream of his for years to do a DVD, to lock in interviews with all the people who are still with us, and to, of course, net all the graphics and artwork that was available, because Disney, while they have a great archive department, they are focused on so many different things. Leagues was, of course, not on the top of their list. So this was a chance for us to go in, and it was over a 2.5-year period that we were gathering materials and doing interviews with various people. And I don't know if you've had a chance to see the DVD, but we've got a ton of stuff on there. We've been very, very fortunate to get a lot of very good reviews for it, primarily because it really was a work of love. We've produced a number of titles for Disney under the banner of Vault Disney. A lot of their classic titles, like Love Bug, which just came out, which was neat to be able to meet with Buddy Hackett before he passed away. Old Yeller. We did 8 to 10 titles, but the one that really struck home for me and Eric was, of course, Leagues, because like so many of you, there's something about it. When we saw it, we were in Tulsa, Oklahoma with our grandparents, and they took us to see 20,000 Leagues. We couldn't wait to see the squid sequence, and it didn't let us down. And I can't say that we're as adamant as the Brooks Brothers in our enthusiasm for the film. But besides being able to meet the filmmakers, Mr. Fleischer, for example, and Kirk Douglas, and some other people who were in the film and who were behind the camera as well, it's meeting the fans. It was meeting the people who actually had such a love for the film that got me going, because it showed me a whole different side of the film that I had never seen before. With the DVD, we tried to pack it with just as much as they would let us get away with. I wish Eric were here so he could get that applause as well. Again, this is his baby. We had a terrific audio commentary by Richard Fleischer. We had interviewed him and then invited him to do the audio commentary for the film. And Mr. Fleischer was, of course, he was very gracious about all this. He's quite surprised at the continuing popularity of the film. And when we first met him and interviewed him, he said, "You know, I looked at it the other day, and it really does hold up, doesn't it?" He's very, very modest about it. And when he arrived at the recording studio to do the audio commentary, he comes in and we had some tea for him, and he said, "You don't want me to talk throughout the entire movie, do you?" And, well, Mr. Fleischer, that's kind of the idea, like, you know, that whatever comes to mind, he says, "Oh, but my vocal cords aren't what they used to be, and I'll only be good for like 10 or 15 minutes. And I said, "Well, whatever you can do, it'll be great. We'll capture it forever." And he talked beyond the movie. And the credits were rolling, and it went to black, and he was still talking. And one thing that I'll share with you that I thought was very funny, one of the reasons he was so, I think, humbled by this experience is at the time that the film came out, he as a director was not really recognized. It was as if Walt Disney had done everything, had designed the ship, had written the script, had done the acting and everything, which was the way it came across, of course. So he never really got the recognition until years later. And he was very, very complimentary of working with Walt Disney, though, how energetic he was, how creatively energetic he was. And this isn't on the tape, it's not on the DVD, but he shook my hand, he shook Eric's hand. He said, just thank you so much, and please tell everybody who likes the film that I'm really glad that I was able to make this and that it will live beyond, past me. So there's a guy who, is a filmmaker at heart, and he loves what he does, and it was a real pleasure to meet him. In the process of making a documentary, you spend an hour or two with your subject, and you interview them, and you take all that discussion, and you boil it down into a smaller piece, of course. Maybe it's half an hour. Most of our documentaries are usually 20 minutes to half an hour. The documentary for Leagues, we couldn't stop going. It's like an hour and a half of material. But even then, all the sound bites don't make them in. So I brought along Kirk Douglas with me. I brought along Mr. Fleischer. I brought along Peter Ellenshaw. Some bites which aren't in the documentary, which I thought you might be interested in. One of which by Kirk Douglas talking about, he remembers that film. He came into the interview. We were in his living room, and we were all nervous, and the camera was set up and the lights were set, and Eric and I, we had our list of questions, and he would say, you asking the questions, and I'd say, no, you asking the questions. We went back and forth. And we actually did paper, scissors, rock to determine which one of us was going to interview him. We were both pretty nervous.
It's the cannibals!
Yeah, the cannibals. So he was saying that he came into the room to take his seat, and of course he's had his stroke, but that didn't matter at all. He came in, he was humming Whale of a Tale. And he had his little sparkle in his eye, so I knew we were going to be in for a good time. And he sat down, and his hair it was down to his shoulders then. And there was an Easter egg on the DVD. I don't even know myself how you get to it, what the little trick is, but there's an Easter egg on there about something he said, and I won't tell you what it is. Please try to figure out how to do the Easter egg. It's nothing too rude, but he said, I remember Leagues because that was the year I was married. He said, in those days we worked every Saturday, we worked 6 weeks on Saturday, so my wife and I, well, she wasn't my wife yet, but we left on a Saturday night for Las Vegas, got married very quickly that night, came back on Sunday, but I had to prep all day Sunday to get ready for shooting 20,000 Leagues that following Monday, so that was his very first memory of it. Roy Disney said that there was a set of expectations back then of what you would be going to if you went to see Cinderella, for example. The audience knew what they were getting for their money, but when you saw that Walt Disney was going to present James Mason, Kirk Douglas, Peter Lorre in a live action production, I think a lot of people at the time thought, what is this I'm getting into? Is this going to be any good? Has Disney gone nuts? That's from Roy, his nephew. He was working at the time across the way on the lot. He didn't work on Leagues, but he said that every day while they were doing the squid sequence, people would take their lunch break and go down, like the animators would stop and they'd come down and they'd kind of like peek through the doors and try to see what was going on. One woman who I got to know, who was an animator on Lady and the Tramp, who was working at the time as an inker, and she said all the inkers would take their lunch break, their sandwiches, and go down and hope to catch a glimpse of Kirk Douglas or James Mason. And she said what was funny is that during the squid sequence, all this water is going and all these fans are going and this water would be gushing out of stage 3 and there'd be this river of water running through the studio and everyone's saying, have they gone crazy? Have they gone nuts? What's going on here? And I don't know if you've heard this story. Excuse me, I don't have anything planned. I'm just kind of like blathering on here. But some of the guys got pneumonia because one man snuck in and wanted us to watch the filming and got caught when the doors were shut. And he didn't have a rain gear on or something, and he caught pneumonia, but he recovered. So the whole studio was really jazzed about this whole thing. On the DVD, we've got the audio commentary, of course. We've got the documentary, which I've got to name some people here because Disney did not let us credit everyone who worked on the DVD. Janet Wilcox was my editor at the time. She spent 3 months editing the documentary, and it did a superb job. We have on there a thing called the 1954 studio album, which documents other things that were happening in the world of Disney the year of 1954. Les Perkins was a producer and writer on a piece called Jules Verne. I'm sorry, on the musical legacy of Paul Smith. Paul Smith had never been recognized in anything that Disney had produced. And when we heard that, or Les heard about it, said, let's do something about Paul Smith, because he did the music, of course, for this. We've got The Lost Treasure, which is the Sunset Squid, which I'll show you. I don't know if you've seen that. Has someone shown you that before already? Oh, good. There is the Humboldt squid, a real sea monster. Of course, the squid in the film is based on the real existing Humboldt squid. And coincidentally enough, as we were producing this DVD, a friend of mine says, hey, I've got this friend who's a diver. He has footage of the Humboldt squid down in the Sea of Cortez. You want to take a look at it? Could you use it? And one thing led to another, and we looked at the footage, and they're pretty creepy creatures. And Scott Cassell is the diver, and he's a strapping young guy who looks great, and he speaks well. So I said, well, Scott, let's interview you. And it suddenly became its own piece. And in talking with him, he said, yeah, he was inspired to be a diver and to go after the squid because of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So the tentacles of this story keep going out there. So we need to take a look at that. The Humboldt squids are maybe this long, but they're carnivorous. And there are legends of in the Sea of Cortez that fishermen, they're called Diablos Rojos, the red devils, because they get red as they become aggressive, and fishermen will hunt for them at night. But the problem is, sometimes as they're pulling the nets up, these squid, when they start sensing blood, if one of the other squids start getting cut or something, they will start eating them, and they will start lashing out, and they will lash out sometimes and get a fisherman's arm, and sometimes a fisherman will go overboard and be devoured by these squids. So, it kind of adds to the cool legend of these squids. So we don't show any of that. DVD. There is an earlier cut of the piece, to be again honest with you, that's a little more grittier than that in the description of what these animals do. Disney had me cut that out, but my kids got a chance to see it. They were disappointed it was cut out. We have Touring the Nautilus, which we're going to show you in just a moment. That really was a lot of fun because we had open access to the Disney archives. We could go in and go through their files and, we've got this, and we've got... The Brooks Brothers were tremendously instrumental in helping us find materials. Never before seen photographs, diagrams, charts, that we tried to, again, incorporate as much as possible in here. And as I was seeing all the Nautilus references we had, the idea came to mind, hey, what if we did a virtual tour of the Nautilus? What if we built a CGI set and had someone, a spokesperson, actually walking through these rooms and telling us about it? It was a good idea for a day or two, because then we did the budget, and it would have cost about twice what the DVD cost us to produce. So we did an alternate version to that idea, and that was to find someone who maybe had created a CGI version of the Nautilus that we could use as a bit of a model that we could move around. A good friend of mine in Los Angeles, Mark Allen, had some acquaintances, a company called Artimation, that in fact was creating a CGI Nautilus. They were contacted, they created the look of this model for us, and it's amazing. We're going to roll it in just a minute, but I got to tell you, it's created by Artimation, the three fellows who are doing it because of the love of the project. Fred Kuntz, William Babington, and Malcolm Thane. And for example, on the Nautilus model itself, it has 13,500 hand-placed ribbons so that it would match exactly the model that existed. William did that. Some other trivia about this model they created. They said, the people in the audience will love this information. The Nautilus, in their model, sports the rarely seen skiff rudder. The rudder on the back of the little boat. I know you're all getting antsy. And it's complete with a steering mechanism from the original Disney plans. The ship also has the latch on the dorsal fin to hold the aft deck hatch open. It has all four hatches, 3 on the deck, 1 on the bottom. They all open. through their CGI programming. And on the hatches, the wheels spin and there are gills or breathing flaps that will open. The skiff comes off and its watertight cover opens up. In the wheelhouse, you'll see the wheelhouse, and there's a little model of James Mason at the wheel steering the Nautilus inside this CGI model. Again, the level of detail is remarkable. The glass in the salon corresponds to the correct thickness per the model. So the kind of attention and love that these guys put to it blew me away. And it's again, they're now forever digitally fused with 20,000 Leagues. So Kim, I'd like to roll that one first. That is, it's called Touring the Nautilus, and look at the CGI for sure.
Standby engines. Overhead.
This is Nemo's cabin.
We used a combination of production stills from the actual production.
Now let's get out of here if they find us in his cabin.
As well as photos taken from various exhibitions of the Nautilus. Again, my point was to try to gather together all the imagery that we could lay our hands on, put it into one piece, so it's in one spot to take a look at. the guys at Automation also told me that the techno part of it I'm not clear on, but the amount of mathematics and polygons to create that ship is more than for the Starship Enterprise. It's a very, very complicated model they did. And now it's for everyone to enjoy. We have selected script pages that we also include on the DVD. We have a piece featuring the Brooks Brothers about the movie merchandising that was created for the film. We have unused animation. That was shown on the Laserdisc. If you have that, it's really a repeat of that unused animation that Walt had created for the undersea part. Before the squid comes along, they were going to experience these luminescent creatures in the windows and such. But I think at the end of the day, it looks so hokey in comparison with the live action that they scrapped it. We've got that Easter egg with Kirk Douglas. We have some trims, it's called trims on the DVD. When films are made and scenes are shot, sometimes in the editing process, they'll shorten the front end or the back end of the scene. So in the final movie, somebody will turn to leave or turn to say something and then they'll cut away. We found some of these trims, so we have extended scenes, if you will, that have never been seen before and weren't in the film. We played with the idea of putting them, of creating a version of the film with them, but then decided that Mr. Fleischer, we can't presume to do any better than Mr. Fleischer. We have the movie trailer, of course. We popped on there the cartoon, the Grand Canyonscape, which was the cartoon that preceded the film when it was released. We have radio spots and the original recording of the organ music that James Mason plays, along with a little bit of an ADR session with Peter Lorre when they went back in to do some looping. And you hear him and Fleischer talking back and forth in the recording session, redoing some of the lines. So it's as much stuff that we could find. I think everything that we found we put onto the DVD. It's a 2-set box. Disney, unfortunately, has not given the kind of promotion that we think it deserves. It is out there. It's been out for a couple of months. And if you don't have it, you might want to check it out. One of the things that struck me in creating this DVD, in meeting all these people, was I had a chance to kind of experience what it must have been like working with Walt Disney, one of the people on my list I wish I had been able to meet in my lifetime. Because after all the time that has passed, and all the things you read about someone of his level, of his caliber, you assume, well, that's a lot of PR, and things get watered down over time and accentuated about his personality. But everybody I talked to said the same thing about him, about how much of a creative, inspirational genius he was. Kirk Douglas went on to say, I got to know Walt Disney quite well. I loved talking to him. He was such a simple guy. And at that time, he was laying out the plans for Disneyland. He would show me the plans, ask my opinion, and then he would take me for rides around in little carts that he decided that he wanted to use in Disneyland. He was very easy to work with. For example, in 20,000 Leagues, there are no women in the picture. So I said, well, why don't we start with a woman? I mean, I'm on shore leave, the Ned Land character, I'm on shore leave, I'm a little drunk, wouldn't I have a couple of women on my arm? And that's exactly what the film has. He said, great idea, and boom, we shot it that way. Peter Allen Shaw. Walt Disney, when he was in a story meeting, he was at his best. He could describe the entire story because he had it all in his mind. He was just repeating what he was seeing in his mind. He would go home at night. I know this because once his wife said he would wake her up at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, honey, I just got a great idea. Yes, Walt, she'd say, but we're sleeping now, aren't we? Peter Ellenshaw mentioned that he inspired people by his own inspiration. I remember on Mary Poppins, Walt one day said that he was just he had just gone through this sweep dance, the chimney sweeper dance, and Peter Ellenshaw had something to do with it. And Walt was saying, you know, it is kind of a complex scene, isn't it? And then Peter said, it took a lot of work, Walt. And then Walt said to me, well, you didn't have any problems with it, did you? Well, yes, I did. I said, there's lots of problems. This is very complicated, Walt. And he said, no, there are no problems. There are only answers. There are only challenges. Don't you see that, Peter? Why don't you become more of a yes man? And he never could understand, and he didn't want a yes man in the terms that we use today. He just wanted people who were as enthusiastic and were good problem solvers like he is. And I think that is best exemplified in the squid sequence, which you undoubtedly know about. the film was halfway through production. They did the squid sequence, which was affectionately called the sunset squid sequence. And originally, it was done during the daylight. It was a pink sky. It was this goofy looking puppet with this, we could see the wires, and Walt looked at the footage and of course, and said, we are in real trouble here. He knew it would sink the film. He knew that this was the center tentpole for the film. They were already over budget. They ran the numbers, and he decided they were going to reshoot it anyway. He went to Richard Fleischer. He said, what are you doing here? Are you doing a Keystone Cops film? This is not going to work. The future of the studio was resting on this film. The studio was not as large as it is now, of course. Disneyland was drawing a lot of money out of it. They were dipping into the budget for Disneyland to pay for this film. And then Richard Fleischer went to his writer, and the writer came up with an idea, well, let's do it at night. Let's have it man against nature. You won't see the wires. You'll be distracted by the water. Richard Fleischer said he kissed his hand, and he ran to find Walt Disney. He found him on the lot, told him, and everyone, the light bulb went off for everyone. And they went ahead and reshot it, of course. And pretty much saved the day, because he was much of a gambler. His brother wanted to talk him out of doing it. His brother, in fact, I heard, looked at the footage of the Sunset Squid and said, hey, it doesn't look too bad to me. It looks just fine. He was the money guy, of course. So, that has been one of the stories of legend in this town for a while, this Sunset Squid footage. Eric, my brother, was working at Disney, and everyone he talked to said it had been destroyed. And my brother, if you knew as well as I do, can get stubborn if he has something in his mind. He wasn't so sure that the film had been destroyed. He himself started crawling through the Disney vaults. And one day he calls me and he says, I found it. He found tins that were marked very badly, that had not been opened since the mid-50s. He could tell because of the coating on it and the fact that the tape was, this cloth tape around it was still intact. He opened it up and there were spools of footage of the Sunset Squid piece. So, wow, the word got around, the Brooks Brothers got excited. And we decided we would recut the squid sequence. What would it have been like if they had used the original footage? So that's what this little lost treasure is. And Chris, if you want to go ahead and roll it, we'll show you what it could have been. That's acting, isn't it? So that's it. I don't know if you have any questions on anything we did, but it was just a personal. Yes, sir.
Curious what the music that you were using behind the CGI novel.
Forgive me, it's been about a year and a half since we did it. I believe it was a combination. We had one of our composers that we use on our pieces do some original stuff. So it was either from the score or originally composed. Yes, sir.
I wanted to thank you for one sequence that's in the trims, and that's when Peter Lorre and Kirk Douglas are on the deck and the breathing flaps close, they run to stop the hatch, and then he finds his harpoon. There's another scene in the documentary that you only show a quick clip of. It's the 16mm off-camera footage of James Mason and Paul Lucas being dressed in their diving suits, and Nemo's explaining how they work. How much more of that footage, because you only have like a couple seconds, it's in a montage scene. Is there much more of that footage from that scene?
I don't know. Probably not. We wanted to use, as, you know, between the balance of pacing and creativity and preservation in a way, I guess. We wanted to use everything we could. On that specific one, I can't remember. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. There was a rumor floating around at one point before the release about the soundtrack possibly being included with the DVD. Was that ever the case?
It was discussed. I know that Eric, when he was working at Disney, he was in post-production, so he had access to their mixing stage and such. They did a remix of the score. Why it was not used on the DVD, I don't know. He wanted to at one point. It may have been a legal reason. I don't know. Yes, sir.
Where on the DVD, well, I have it, but where on the DVD can you find all of those trims?
It should be, you couldn't find it on there?
Well, this is the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah, it would be on, I believe it's on the production category, where we found, I don't know.
On the same thing, during the costume gallery, was it specially encoded because you can't do any freeze frames and zoom ins on that on the DVD?
Right, because the way that was created was it was produced onto videotape. And so it's a running video.
And because of that, that's why you can't do any zoom ins?
That's right. That's right. Also, one thing you have to realize on DVDs, they're not perfect. There are several mistakes on this DVD that we would not have let go through if we had caught them. Sometimes in the authoring process, which is the next step after what we do, we just create the content and hand it off to the authoring facility. Thank you. Everybody now. Sometimes you give them instructions to do certain things and they just don't. And that sometimes happens. But in this case, it was rolling video. There were some errors in proper credits on the errors I'm referring to that didn't end up on the DVD. We were crediting a variety of people that never showed up on the DVD, which my heart goes out to them who put all the effort into it and didn't get proper credit. But that just happens sometimes in the stream of production and workload. Yes, sir.
You did obviously 2 interviews with Mr. Fleischer.
I did one.
One looked at it like his home.
Yes, he was at his home.
Were you in the Nautilus?
Yes, in the Betty Boot, right, in the foreground, right.
And then
In that room, he says, look behind me. That's what we did. He said, see those bookcases? Aren't they great? Yeah. Do you know who put those bookcases in? Harrison Ford. Before he started acting. Isn't that great?
Well, then the other question I had, you said that he was a little bit afraid that he couldn't do all the narration or the commentary, but you brought in Rudy Belmer too.
Yes, we brought in Rudy for that reason. There was a concern on Mr. Fleischer's that, what am I going to, he said, you know, I've been telling these stories for a lot of years and I don't want them to sound dry. And so Rudy, who has worked up with us on other titles, and did just a superb job. He did his homework and never a dull moment with Rudy. It was for that, to give him the peace of mind that he always has something to lean on. Because when we do the recordings for the audio commentaries, even though it's in real time, we really are showing the movie and they really are. We stop and start all the time. It's not like live. But there was the additional concern if he did run out of gas, that Rudy could fill in as well.
Well, you could just tell how Rudy kind of encouraged him and brought him back on track. And
Yes.
They're just like 2 friends sitting
Yes.
in their living room. This is great.
Yes, it was a wonderful experience. When it's one of my titles, I tend to sit in and help to prod conversation if it drags or if it stops. I didn't have to do anything. I sat there with my coffee and enjoyed the conversation. It was great. It's a great part of this job. It's meeting and seeing these people in their environment, giving them the opportunity to talk and having contact with their fans indirectly through these DVDs. It's a wonderful new area for a lot of different reasons. Yes, sir.
This isn't a question. I just wanted to personally say thanks for allowing us to have something I've been waiting for about 30 years.
Yeah, me too. My pleasure. I'm very glad that Disney wanted us to do it. That it landed in our lap. There are a lot of people producing DVDs. The chance for us to do it was remarkable. Yes, sir.
I was wondering about the decision not to include Operation Undersea in its entirety.
I believe that, well, I'm trying to remember back, that may have been a bit space issue. And there wasn't enough, we are limited to a certain amount of running time. And since I believe Operation Undersea was on the laser disc, I can't remember if it was the truncated version of the laser disc or not, but it came down to time. We had to decide what definitely went on and what we had to, because we got an abbreviated version of it.
Also, part of it is probably the fact that they're planning on putting all of that out on DVD separately. So why give it to you for free when they can have you buy the game?
I honestly, I don't think anyone thought of that.
No, but I'm saying that they are.
It's a good point,
But they are planning on putting all of the whole Disneyland shows
which is
out.
good, but that wasn't really part of any of our conversations. I think it was more bit space. I think it's a case of, because even the menuing, that takes up bit space, all the audio, everything is adding time to a CD, to a DVD. Yes, sir.
I guess I didn't fully understand the answer before. Is there or was there ever a CD of the score, the soundtrack?
Not to my knowledge. There were plans to take the version that Eric had mixed. He had done it kind of as an inside thing because of a personal goal, and they found the stems, they found the different tracks. They had the time, they had the money to be able to do it. It's almost like an in-house production. And why it didn't end up on the DVD, I don't know.
But it doesn't.
But there is no separate CD that I'm aware of. All right. Well, again, thank you for inviting me. I love talking about this film, and I wish more people had the DVD so they had it. I think, getting the word out so that people know it exists in the sea of other titles out there is important. Thanks again for letting me.
Mark, on your way down, please tell me we do have a certificate for you to say thank you for all your time and joining us today in the Chandler School Historical Society. Folks, we have about a 15-minute break right now. If you want water, it's right outside that door.
Yeah.
She's promised me this, but I can't wait that long. Oh, it was such a crime when they didn't keep that thing in operation. I did, and the next time I went back and saw it closed, I had no clue that it wasn't going to open again.
Yeah.
I still haven't forgiven them for that.
Yeah, that's real good.
No. They covered it over. It's now a photo op place.
Yes. For Ariel. And well, they also do villains. Yeah. That one area.
They let all the stuff drop.
That's right. You know all about that.
Tracked everything.
About what? The character? About the meet and greet.
Too expensive.
I would know nothing about that. Yeah, exactly. You still going good and stuff for that? Yeah. Have you been to Paris? No? You've been to Walt Disney World?
Yeah, I think they closed it down. And even when the lights up.
I want to go to Tokyo. Let's go to Tokyo to see the bears. There's nothing like seeing the bears in Japanese, man.
Does it translate well in Japan?
Trixie does achy breaky heart.
Oh no. So if we're wondering, it'll be like it's clear from the Holy Grail, the Python's got back at it.
Right, yes. Quite an experience watching that show for the first time. John, Laura the whole time. I can't believe they're doing this song. Yeah, but they shot it in real time. We actually have to wait an hour before we get onto the ride. I've got video of this. I've got the whole flow through with Peter's narration as Captain Ego. Huh? No. That's actually just something that I have, but if you're interested in it, I can get you a copy of it. You never know. I usually use the Apple lights because they burn fast. My burner. Oh yeah, they'll play on anything. As long as you have an actual DVD player, try to play it on a PC. I'm pretty flexible. You betcha. That is one monster drumstick. Yeah, me. Did you? They are eventually going to have dinosaurs on their dinosaur tour, right? We're actually going to get to see the ride here eventually.
I just thought this was a loop with the opening.
Doesn't even look like a ride from right here. Doesn't even look like a ride.
Well, it could be that she's just running a loop.
Everything got darker and it made it feel like she's going
Yeah, no, I mean,
Just look at his pen.
we were going back to the hotel, got him some medication, and then stopped by McDonald's.